Hello there everyone and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me again in my crafty corner. So today I'm going to be creating this card, which is a very pretty card. There's a little tiny bit of stamping, but the rest of it is die cutting. So this is mostly die cutting. You could actually die cut a sentiment to this and it would just be totally die cutting. So to start with, I'm going to be using the Rose Flurries 3D die. So it's a really large die that's all stuck together, and it creates lots of small elements that you can layer up to create lots of different elements. So as you can see, it's all stuck together in this piece. You can snip them apart if you wanted to and cut out each part bit by bit with different colours pieces of cardstock. But I find it easier if we cut it out of some white cardstock and then colour it in. So to do this, I want to keep the pieces in place while I do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of another piece of cardstock underneath the piece that I'm going to use so the pieces stay in place. So I have the scrap piece of cardstock underneath the piece of cardstock that I want to colour, and then I'm going to run this through my machine. Now I do run this through a couple of times, I would say 6 to 8 times back and through, only because it's really detailed and I want to make sure that I have actually cut it all. So once you remove the top part and the die, you will see that all the pieces have been cut, but they are kind of stuck to the part underneath. So the second layer, the scrap piece that we popped on under the one that we want, hasn't cut. So well, it's cut in parts, but not completely. And the top layer has cut. There are even pieces falling out. So I'm just going to pop these back into place. So all I need to do now is colour the pieces while they're in place. And this is really easy to do. I'm using some alcohol markers. These are the artist markers. And I'm using the blue collection from set A. So this is the Desert Night, the Dusk, the Ocean Waves, and also the Sea Glass. So you can see it's really easy to colour these elements in. I'm not doing it in any special way, shape or form. I'm just adding colour to these die cut images. So even though I've added no shading to the flower elements because they do have 4 layers, I'm going to add a little bit of shading to the leaves because they mostly, I say mostly because there is one that's just 1 layer, so they just have 2 layers. I'm just going to add shading to this just to add a little bit more detail and dimension to these images. So I'm adding the darker colour of the greens to the stem and the base of the leaf image, and then I'm moving out further away to the edge of the leaf using different greens which go lighter and lighter and lighter. So I hope that makes sense. And then I'm just going to add in the little buds to this image. This happens to be one of my favourite images on the set. So once all of the images are coloured, you're then going to want to pop them out of this sheet. So to do this, all I'm doing is I am peeling back the top layer of cardstock, and it kind of leaves the other piece stuck to the scrap cardstock underneath. And once you take this away from the scrap cardstock, it also leaves the landlocked areas on the scrap piece, so it really is super easy and simple just to take them out. So to layer these up, I'm going to be using some spray adhesive. I find that this works really well because you don't have any wet glue popping out the sides, and also if you're using dry glue, you don't have much wiggle time. But with spray adhesive, you get a bit of wiggle time and you get no glue coming out the sides, so it's like the best of both worlds. So I'm just going to layer this up. This is one of the images. I have spray adhesived the back of the top 3 layers, and I'm just going to pop these into place. So you can see how easy it is just to layer this up, and it just looks so pretty. So if you wanted to have the darker layers on the top, you could quite easily do that, unlike with the stamped images where you have to have the lighter layer underneath because the ink wouldn't lay on top of each other properly. But with die cuts, you could do them any colour that you wanted to in any way, shape or form, and it's just going to look so pretty and so unusual. So as you can see, I'm just going to do all of the pieces. I have sped it up so you don't need to see me layer all of the pieces up, but it is really, really easy. And it does have the layering guide on the front of the packaging of the die cut, so you can see exactly which piece goes with which and how it does layer up. And like I said before, it really is easy. You're not going to need it for too long. You may need to look at it the first couple of times that you put these together, but after that it's easy going. So to add a little bit of dimension and interest to the back of my card base, I'm using the Watercolor Stripes cover die. This is such a pretty cover die, and I just love the subtle detail that it does give me at the back of my images. So I'm just going to play around with these. Another, advantage of die cuts is that you can actually really play around with them before you decide where to pop them down. I'm using the Love You So Mush die, and I'm going to stamp set, and I'm just going to use the Love You So from this stamp set. It's really, really cute sentiment, and I know that it's going to fit in perfectly just in this little space here. So I am going to pop that in just using some black ink. This is part of a sentiment that says Love You So Mush, but I've just used the Love You So on here. I'm then going to layer my images up. So on some of the parts of the flower, I'm going to use 2 layers of adhesive, so it goes higher than the image before. But on the parts where it's touching the other layer, I'm not going to add the other layer of dimensional tape. Okay. And then for the leaves, I'm just going to pop them down using some of my favorite glue from Alt New. So I'm just adding these, and because they're little dots rather than a roll of glue, it comes off easily, so it sticks down little die cuts like this just beautifully. So here is the finished card. I really do hope you have enjoyed the video, and that it has given you a few hints and tips when colouring small die cuts that you may have in your stash. I really do hope you've enjoyed the video. Again, thanks for watching, and if you do like the video, you can subscribe to the channel, and then you won't miss out on any videos that are uploaded. There are more videos here for your perusal if you would like to, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Goodbye!